very warm welcome to you. Many thanks for finding time to join us on today's edition of the program. We remain your source for all the latest happenings in the world of business. My name is Lucy Ulubi. Welcome to the show. On our lineup this week, International Women's Day is celebrated annually on March the 8th, but the global campaign theme continues all year long to encourage action on gender equality. Last week, we kick-started a special report on influential women in insurance business to mark this year's International Women's Day. On this edition, we bring you part 2 of the series. For the most part in history, the insurance industry was dominated by men. For example, it took Lloyd's of London, the birthplace of insurance, 328 years before the emergence of its first female chief executive officer. Back here in Nigeria, it took the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCRIB, 50 years to produce its first female president. It took African Alliance Insurance PLC 60 solid years to produce its first female managing director, Mrs. Funmi Omo, who is one of the leading lights on the lineup today. We are projecting these strong women who are still holding their own in this business that is still largely controlled by men. The good news is that they are determined not only to earn their seat on the table, but they are also supporting and urging each other on. Take, for example, after 60 years, African Alliance has a female CEO and a female Executive Director of Finance, Mrs. Adebisi Adekola. We also have Mrs. Susan Abisola Giwa-Osage, the Deputy Managing Director of NEM Insurance PLC, on our lineup today. It can only get better because the fact is companies with women on their boards always do better in terms of profitability. Things are changing for the better in the insurance industry, no doubt. But the question is, are women there yet in terms of numbers at the top? The answer, of course, is no. But as the saying goes, a journey of a mile begins with a step. So today, we'll raise our glasses to these leading lights who through determination, doggedness, and the can-do spirit have risen to the top of their game and sitting comfortably at the table of men. These Amazons all have one thing in common. Do take a listen.
In terms of getting to the top also, I think it's even more difficult in the insurance sector. There are not many people in the sector. You have more men in the sector than women, and naturally the men will gravitate towards themselves. So that makes it a bit more difficult for the women to rise.
Apart from ensuring that professionally you are qualified and doing twice as much as what the men do, you still have to take into consideration your family members, taking care of the family, and you have to add to that to what you are doing as a woman to be able to succeed. So it's not easy at all to rise to the top. You combine a lot of activities to be able to get there.
What's wrong with being tough? I mean, and you know, when men are in our position and they are principled and they're strict, they say, oh, he's a good man still. But when a woman is principled, she's tough, you know, she takes a position, you know, people say they are Margaret Thatchers. I don't have a problem with being called Margaret Thatcher. It's not an issue for me at all. The most important thing is that the job has to be done. As long as I'm fair and I know that, you know, I'm taking the right decisions in the greater interest, I should say, of the company, then quite frankly, you can call me any name you want, you know.
What more can I say than to urge you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the lineup. It's a celebration of women, each for equal. Happy viewing. International Women's Day is celebrated across the world on March the 8th. It is a global day that celebrates social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action to increase gender equality.
Gender equality is today essential for economies and communities to thrive. The campaign theme this year, Each for Equal, is a race for gender equal boardroom, equal workplace, a gender equal government, and equal media coverage for women, etc. Women in the insurance industry have encountered their share of gender-based prejudices in the workplace, not to mention the uphill battle required to get to the top. But some of the influential women in the insurance industry today have had to fight through dint of hard work and determination to rise to the top of their game. Not stopping there, however, they are also encouraging and supporting each other to climb the career ladder. As the global push for gender equal workplace increases, companies who join in the race will do well for themselves because it has been scientifically proven that when women are on the boards of organizations, they are more in touch with their customers' demands, investors' expectations, and staff's concerns. These women share their thoughts in part 2 of our series.
Hi, girls. Hey. Hello, Sheila. Come right in. We've been waiting.
It's amazing in here, Martha. You've done so much for yourself.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Did she tell you she'll be getting her doctorate degree in a couple of weeks?
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations, girl.
Thank you. So, to more successes, girls.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Wow, it's amazing what you and your brothers have achieved in the past 15 years despite mom and dad being absent. All 4 of you are so stable and you've achieved so much.
Thank you so much, girls. Life may have dealt us an unexpected blow early in our lives, but Dad and Mom set us on a safe path to where we are today. They secured our future with life insurance from African Alliance Insurance PLC. We are not alone. All our life moments are kept on check with AAI.
Wow.
Yeah.
This sounds so good, Amaka. Please, show us how. Of course.
Get life insurance from African Alliance Insurance PLC. There's a plan to suit you and your family's needs.
They're excited when they see 2 of us. They wonder how we're able to drive the business, being 2 women.
I think they are much more encouraged seeing ladies at the top, and they really want to affiliate with our ideas.
It's not easy for women to be at the top. It takes a lot. I tell people that it takes them twice or thrice the amount of energy that men put in for women to get to the top. It also is a bit more difficult for you to prove yourself. What men will do and get away with, women will not get away with. So it's not so easy. It takes a lot, but it's doable. Ensuring that professionally you are qualified and doing twice as much as what the men do, you still have to take into consideration taking care of the families, and you have to add that to what you are doing as a woman to be able to succeed. So it's not easy at all to rise to the top. You combine a lot of activities to be able to get there. We were both brought to this world the same way, so we should be given equal opportunity to rise to the top. But you see women handling a lot of things, doing things twice as hard to get to the top. So it's not fair on the women, so we should be given much more support and encouragement to get to the top. My husband used to say something. He would say that God also endowed us with twice the enablements, that women can multitask, men cannot. So it ends up being that even though the environment is not so supportive, even though there are natural bias, we have also been endowed by God with twice the amount of energy that the men would have. Many times I see being a woman as a blessing rather than as a curse, because the true test of your person is your ability to defy the odds, and women are much more able to defy the odds than men. It took African Alliance also almost 60 years to produce the first female managing director, so it's been there, and it just keeps getting better. So just as it is with every other facet of life, it's also equally difficult, and in the insurance industry is no exception. So in terms of getting to the top also, I think it's even more difficult in the insurance sector. There are not many people in the sector. You have more men in the sector than women, and naturally the men will gravitate towards themselves. So that makes it a bit more difficult for the women to rise.
It's very difficult, as the MD said, but we are gradually seeing women coming to the top. We have some few women in the top position in the insurance industry, and more will still come up with time, and we are coming up gradually. The glass ceiling is there, preventing women to get to the top, but we are gradually overcoming this through our efforts in ensuring that we get much more educated, get professionally qualified, and getting the skills and talent required to be at the top.
I recall that when we were in school, the men used to feel a lot more superior, and even our parents would say that they would rather invest in the male child than the female child. So talking about it in that manner and acting it sort of makes men make women feel inferior. And this is how it progresses through life. So when you get into the workplace, and as you rise within the corporate environment, you begin to feel as if you have less abilities and feel less confident. But once the confidence level rises and you know that you have the capability to do what the men are doing, it increases your tenacity and your zeal and your desire to actually break the glass ceiling. It's being broken, and it will continue to be so. The biggest challenge was trying to strike a balance between career and managing the home. It was a lot more difficult when my kids were young, and they required so much of my time. And so I wasn't able to devote as much time as I'm able to devote now. For you to break the glass ceiling, there's a lot more required, because it's not just your ability to do what is expected of you. It's your ability to do far and beyond what is required of you, and to prove that you have capabilities beyond ordinary employee. For me, I think those were the areas in which I found it a bit challenging. But thankfully, I was able to overcome the challenge. They are grown now, and I have all the time in the world to myself.
Combining family activities with office work is very, very challenging, and I mean, you need to devote time to your family as much as you are devoting to your work. So just work-life balance is something that you need to work out yourself and make sure that you are giving them the adequate time required.
It's been scientifically proven that for you to have a good board, you need to have the right balance of men and women. I think women bring balance to a lot of situations. My submission is that with women being empowered, with women at the top in the workplace, I think the returns are a lot better, and the organization is better, the people are better, all the stakeholders are better.
Really not too much to add. What we need is a very vibrant atmosphere to be able to carry everybody along. So that's why when you see women at the top, their approach to resolving issues are quite different from the way the men will do that. Setting up the right policies to support women will actually ensure more women are getting to the top echelon in leadership. Sponsoring leadership programs for the women will also enable them to be able to contribute their quota to the organizations very well. Women also need by themselves to improve on their education. If you have the requisite education, you have the professional qualification, definitely you will be identified, and then your performance in the organization is top-notch. Then you will certainly be identified, and then you will rise to the position that you are looking for.
I also believe that creating the right structures and providing a good atmosphere in which women can thrive would certainly help. A lot of young women, they get discouraged finding a balance between work and home. And at that young age, they need all the support. There's nothing wrong with having a creche, for instance, in the workplace, or ensuring that you have support that can enable that woman pay some form of attention to her family. That at the end of the day will help her devote more time to work, concentrate while at work, and even work at hours that may be more suitable for her, and will still give her the opportunity of managing the family. I believe that paying particular attention to supporting women would help growth of women. It would help to boost confidence. It would help to motivate and encourage them. And at the end of the day, it will help to build the industry.
When I started insurance many years ago, I can't recall that there was even a female executive director, never mind a CEO. But I say things are changing and times have changed, because you find that today there are several women who are CEOs, many of them who are executive directors, and also a lot of them in management or even in positions where they can influence policy and they can make things happen. When you are in a group, in a room full of men, and you are supposed to make contributions. So it is important that you stand up and you stand out. It is important that you ask provoking questions, that you push the boundaries, that you make yourself heard, and let people know that you are serious, you are equal to them, and just try and break that barrier. So it's all about putting yourself forward, and it's all about showcasing yourself and making people know that you have what it takes to do what you're supposed to do. And the fact that you're a woman is totally secondary. It's not a strategy. It's a fact that you're a woman, but it is not an impediment, and it is not anything that should delimit you from getting to the top. I don't believe that you have to work more than men. I don't. I believe that you have to do what you need to do. That's the important thing. If you have an assignment and you have a deadline and you have a KPI and you have a service level agreement, for example, you have to do it. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether a mixture of both, it's totally irrelevant. The fact is that the job has to be done. Why should you do more work because you're a woman? I will only say that it is important for you, because you're a woman, to ensure that the job is done right. There's several women who are in positions of authority, never mind CEOs in insurance companies. We have women who are chairmen in banks. We have the woman of the chairman of GT Bank is a woman. The former chairman of Access Bank was a woman, and I believe the present chairman of Access Bank is also. So the glass ceiling has been broken. It's a myth. People have proven that it can be broken, and it has been broken. Insurance is peculiar. It's still peculiar in the fact that it is still a man perceived as men are in charge. If I've had any challenges, it's just about having men out there, like going into a room and you are faced with a room full of men. And you know, initially it can be intimidating. What am I going to say? How are they going to perceive me? And how am I going to push my case forward? But when you find out that you've done this over and over and over again, you gain the confidence over time, and you know, it becomes a walk in the park. When men are in a position and they are principled and they are strict, they say, oh, he's a good man still. But when a woman is principled, she's tough, you know, she takes a position, you know, people say they are Margaret Thatchers. I don't have a problem with being called Margaret Thatcher. It's not an issue for me at all. The most important thing is that the job has to be done. As long as I'm fair and I know that, you know, I'm taking the right decisions in the greater interest, I should say, of the company, then quite frankly, you can call me any name you want, you know, but the job is done. It's done the way I want it. It's done in the way that I have been asked to do it by my board. And I've been taking I've been taking fair decisions. I've been taking the decisions that a reasonable person will take. Quite frankly, I don't have any issues with anybody saying I'm tough or I'm Margaret Thatcher. It's a perception. I would say that this is totally scientific. There's data that has proven that when you have women in positions where they can take decisions, that is being on boards, you find that the companies are more productive, you find that the companies make more profit. So I'm not just saying it, it is something that has data to back it up. First of all, I would say mentoring works. When you're in a position to mentor younger people, it is very important that you take them under your wing and you show them the ropes. Also, to make the workplace conducive so that you can give your best, you know, we can look at maybe having a creche in the workplace, so that for the younger ones who have kids, they can drop their kids there and, you know, they're not worried about what the nannies will do. Because you hear all sorts of horror stories these days about what happens, you know, when these young ladies are at work and what the nannies do with the kids. So of course, if you have that kind of situation where you can make the workplace a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more habitable, you know, for the women, then I think you would really get the best out of them.
That's our time on the program this week. Many thanks for being a part of it. Join us again, same time, same station next week as we bring you part 3 of this series in celebration of women in the insurance industry. Don't forget, if you miss any part of today's episode, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. Let's continue the celebration of our leading women. Connect with us on all our social media platforms. My name is Lucy Olube, and from the entire team, it's goodbye.